Hi, and welcome back to another installment of our Tuscaloosa Campus Life ClubCast. We're as surprised as you are. This week, we're going to dig deep and explore the uncharted waters of the universe in our own minds. We're going to take a serious, slow, revelatory journey into the darkness, into the places we would never thought we would go. When we get there, we might just find... Oh dang. Sorry. This is the script for the hypnotism seminar I'm giving this evening. My bad. We aren't going to do any of that today. We've just got dad jokes and overly dramatized versions of dumb skits we got bored enough to do. Before we jump into all of that, can I be real with you guys for a minute? This quarantine business is really wearing on some of us here at the Campus Life World Headquarters. For instance, Jeremy, you might have seen him in our past videos as Waldo or Mr. Clean or the guitar player in our music video last week. We didn't actually tell him to dress up like all those things. He actually thinks he is those characters. Like, I just came in one morning and he was hiding under a table saying, "You can't find me here, you can't find me." And then I came back from lunch and he was wearing the tightest white shirt I've seen in a while, cleaning every surface in the office. I don't know. I think he just sort of cracked from all the isolation and loneliness. And next thing we knew, he was wearing a striped shirt or a wolf costume. So we just started recording videos so his new personalities would feel included. And he's not the only one who's been acting weird these last couple weeks. I keep up with some of my friends over the phone since I can't see them in person. And I don't know. I keep trying to hit them up over social media or text message or phone call, and I can't explain it. They just don't respond. I'll send them like 4 or 5 texts and leave them a couple voicemails and nothing. But they have read receipts, so I know they saw the message. Maybe they dropped their phones in a toilet, or maybe it's under a couch and my calls aren't helping them find it. I don't know. I don't know. I think maybe the quarantine is affecting them where they just aren't able to pick up. Or maybe the internet stopped working. I don't know. I don't know. I can't explain it. And then within the prison, quarantine. Within the quarantine, even my own home life dynamics are getting strange. Like, my dog Jake is my only roommate, and I don't know. He's not responding to me like he used to. I think he's mad at me. He left a gift in the middle of my living room. And that's not like him. I mean, I walked out into the living room the other morning and I just saw it there in a pile in the middle of the rug, a new Xbox and a few controllers. And I told him, "No, Jake, I'm not surprised by that gift. You used my Amazon account to order it. I have notifications turned on." Plus, I told him a million times, I'm happy with my Nintendo Switch. It's fine. I'm not that big of a gamer anyways. And then he just looks at me and he poops in the middle of the floor. I just don't know what to do with it anymore. Guys, I think I'm the one who's going a bit crazy. Although, there is something that's really cheered me up this week. And that's the sense of humor from our campus life leaders from around the city. So in case you haven't heard enough dad jokes sitting at home, let me show you what I mean.
What did the custodian say when he jumped out of the closet? Supplies!
So I ordered a chicken and an egg from Amazon. I'll let you know.
What do you call a lazy kangaroo? A pouch potato.
I'm reading a book right now about anti-gravity. It's impossible to put down.
So, I was wondering why this baseball was getting larger. Then, it hit me.
Hey, cameraman, knock knock.
Who's there?
Interrupting cow.
Interrupt.
Moo!
How do you scare a panda? With some bamboo!
What do you call a cow with no legs? Ground beef. Probably already heard that one. What do you call a cow with 2 legs? Lean beef. What do you call a dog with no legs? Doesn't matter. He's not coming anyway.
Why was the sand wet? Because the sea weed.
I want to talk to you guys today about something that, if I'm honest, is one of my biggest struggles in life. And it's not some big outward thing. I'm not running through the streets, stealing things or stabbing people. It's actually something inside. And what I'm talking about is shame. Shame is the belief that you are somehow lesser than, that there's something wrong about you that doesn't measure up. It's that mix of fear, anxiety, and embarrassment that sits in your chest and floods your brain, telling you that you're not good enough. I want to talk about shame today, but I want to do that. I want to actually tell you a story. And it's a story that takes all the inside mind and heart stuff and brings it outside into a person's experience. It's a story from the life of Jesus. And I think that by looking at this story, we can understand a bit both of how to look past our feelings of shame, and look past the lies that maybe feed those things, but maybe even how to be freed from it. So let's dive in. It says, early in the morning, it's Jesus, came again to the temple. And all the people came to him, and he sat down and taught them. The scribes and the Pharisees brought in a woman who had been caught in adultery. And placing her in the midst, they said to him, "Teacher, this woman has been caught in the act of adultery. Now in the law, Moses commanded us to stone such women. So what do you say?" So Jesus is just sitting in the temple teaching people. And the Pharisees, this group of super religious guys obsessed with making sure they're following the rules and everyone else is following the rules. They bring this woman into the temple and they throw her in front of Jesus. Now we're told that they caught her in the act of adultery. Now, without going into detail, that means she was caught with someone she's not married to doing something they weren't supposed to be doing. And in this time and culture, that wasn't just looked down upon and talked about behind people's backs. If the right person found out, it was dangerous, even deadly. And so they caught her in the act, grabbed her, and dragged her into the temple. And they probably didn't even let her put clothes on first. Have you ever felt exposed? Like everyone is looking at you and you don't want them to be. Or maybe not exposed, maybe just afraid that if people did know the real you, the things you think about the things you do when no one's looking, the things you know about yourself that nobody else knows. If they only knew, you'd be crushed, rejected, embarrassed, ashamed. I think a lot of us carry around this sense of shame. This idea that something is wrong with us, that we're not good enough, that we aren't safe to be truly and fully known. And maybe you can relate to that. I know I can. And for the woman in this story, that sense has become a reality for her. These men have dragged her secret stuff into the limelight. And of course they don't say anything about the guy she was with. And of course they don't mind their own business. Instead, they drag her into the temple, throw her in front of everyone, and accuse her. And they point out that their religious law has harsh penalties for what she's done. And then they ask Jesus what he thinks should happen to her. And here's the thing. I think a lot of people struggle with feelings of guilt and shame in general, but even more so, and I think this is true whether you grew up in the church or if you've never opened a Bible before. For a lot of us, the last person we would want to be exposed in front of is Jesus. We think that if we were thrown in front of Jesus, he would be the first one to wag the finger, judge, and condemn us. I just want to invite you for a moment to take off the assumptions. Take off what you think Jesus is like for a moment, and let's just look at how he responds to a shame-filled, exposed person who's at their lowest point. So they throw this woman in front of Jesus, tell him she should be stoned to death, and ask him what they should do. And the story goes on. Jesus bent down and wrote with his finger on the ground. And as they continued to ask him, he stood up and said to them, "Let him who is without sin among you be the first to throw a stone at her." And once more he bent down and wrote on the ground. But when they heard it, they went away one by one, beginning with the older ones. And Jesus was left alone with the woman standing before him. Jesus stood up and said to her, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" She said, "No one, Lord." And Jesus said, "Neither do I condemn you. Go, and from now on, sin no more." So they're asking Jesus to condemn this woman, this person whose secret sins have been laid bare in front of everyone. And what's the first thing Jesus does? He ignores them. He bends down in the dirt and writes in it. And they keep egging him on and asking him about it until he stands up, looks around, and says to them, "Let the person who is without sin cast the first stone." Then he bends back down and keeps writing in the dirt. And let's just start there. These guys are hell-bent on accusing and shaming this woman, and Jesus won't even engage with them. He takes the power away from them, takes the attention off the woman, and brings it all into his terms. And when he finally does speak up, he isn't talking about her issues, he's talking about their hypocrisy. He says, "Let the one who is without sin throw the first stone." Let the person who's never made a mistake, who has nothing to hide, nothing to be ashamed of, let that person throw the first stone, if you're so set on punishing her. He bends back down in the dirt, and one by one, the accusers walk away. One by one, they have to get off their high horse, acknowledge their own brokenness, and back down. Now it's just her and Jesus. This woman whose darkest secrets are exposed before the only man there who could have thrown a stone. I want you to notice, this is the first time Jesus actually acknowledges she's there. Jesus doesn't bring attention to this woman until there is no one left to shame her. He looks at her and asks, "Where are they? Has no one condemned you?" And she answers, "No one." And hear what Jesus says to her. "Neither do I. Go and sin no more." He doesn't shame her. He doesn't lecture her. He frees her from her accusers. and tells her he wants her to be free from her sin too. And what I've found from looking at the life of Jesus and in my own relationship with him is that Jesus is actually the safest person I can bring my sin and shame to. He's the only one who I can be absolutely confident that no matter how bad I think my sin is, he will receive me, he will love me, and he'll set me free. And maybe you're carrying some shame today. Maybe you're holding on to some secret thing that you're convinced that if anyone knew, they would reject you and throw you away. I just want to invite you to look at what Jesus is like in the Bible. See what he's like. The story we read today is from the Gospel of John. It's a biography of Jesus. What if you can go to Jesus and find someone who knows you fully, best of the best, worst of the worst, and yet loves you fully and wants to set you free?